Hey everybody, it's Peter Diamandis. Welcome back. This is video number 3, one of my favorites, What It Takes to Win. I have the pleasure of being the chairman and CEO of the X Prize Foundation, the executive chairman, co-founder of Singularity University, and the co-author of Abundance, The Future is Better Than You Think. Now, before we launch into this third video training, I want to thank those of you who provided comments and questions at the end of video number 2. It's really one of the things I enjoy doing, is going and answering those and really interacting with you. And I hope you'll do that at the end of this video as well. So let's jump in. I want to remind us of the conversation we're having about what our goal is here. Ultimately, all of the training that I'm providing, that I provide with Ray Kurzweil at Singularity University, and that we're doing through our knowledge products, is really about hitting these 3 items. Number 1, really living a life without fear. Not being driven, not being influenced, not being hoodwinked by the news media who are constantly vying for your attention by using negative information to really stimulate that reptilian brain you have, driving fear to catch your attention. The old adage, when it bleeds, it leads, really drives our news media, our radios, our TVs, everything to be constantly pummeling us with negative news, even though the world is getting better at an extraordinary rate. If you've been following this video series, reading Abundance, or any of these that we teach at Singularity University, you'll realize that we're living during an extraordinary time. The second part of the dream of my personal goal is really creating abundance in your life. The realization that the tools, the exponential technologies, the organizational tools, the means to reach out and connect with people around the planet who can help you make your dreams come true and help you live a world of abundance is stronger than ever before. And then finally, of course, making your dreams come true, because isn't that what it's all about? It's gaining access to the resources, the people, the technologies to ultimately fulfill your dreams. I know what it's like when you've got a dream that in your heart and soul you want to do, but people just tell you, hey, you can't do it. Or when you think about how practically you could do it, you say, I don't have the means to do that. It can kill you, right? If you know you've been put on this planet to do something and you don't, because you're having to survive and work and feed your family, but to pursue your dream is something that seems a luxury that you can't afford to do. So there are means now, mechanisms that can allow you with a small amount of time to really go and begin to implement your dreams, to bring in the funding, to create the communities, to join the communities, to be part of pretty much doing anything. Whether it's like my dream of flying into space, or your dream of starting a company, or creating a community, or building a piece of technology or software, whatever it might be. I'm here to tell you that we're living in a day and age where people can, in fact, make their dreams come true. And that, in particular, includes you. So, you heard my story in the previous training videos of my personal passion from my childhood with spaceflight, and how literally I went on this epic journey for 10 years to try and create the personal spaceflight industry, which we ended up doing through the Ansari X Prize. It was a crazy adventure, and I learned about how to crowdsource and find the most brilliant people on the planet to help me build the private spaceships that can take you and I into space. No matter what your dream is, you can tap out into the world and find those individuals who can work with you to make your dream come true. I want to continue my story a little bit, because when I had completed the work with the Ansari X Prize and opened up private spaceflight, I realized that there was so much more out there, such powerful technologies that I knew nothing about. That these technologies would make or break my future. That I needed some way to figure out what was going on in these areas like artificial intelligence and digital manufacturing and synthetic biology, these really powerful technologies that were just a name for me. And I had known a few individuals in that field, but I knew if I didn't learn about this stuff, I was going to be left way behind. I knew that these technology areas, they were the difference between making my next dreams come true and failure. These were the areas that were going to make the next billionaires. These were the areas that were going to help solve the world's biggest problems. These were the areas I needed to know about. And ultimately, hopefully, what you need to know about as well. These are the technologies, what I call exponentially growing technologies, that can allow us all to touch the lives of 1 billion people. How cool is that? Now, I had met Ray Kurzweil earlier when I recruited him onto the X Prize board, and I had just finished reading his book called Singularity is Near. And it's a book I commend to all of you. And in this book, Ray lays out where these technologies are going. And I said, where can I learn about this stuff? And I realized I can't go to MIT, I can't go to Harvard, I can't go to Stanford. There's no place that offers an overview of these kinds of technologies. And, I was sort of stuck. I could read, but I wanted some place to actually interact and be part of a community. And I'll tell you, I went on a crazy journey, which I don't expect anybody else to be going on, but of actually coming up with the idea of creating a university where we would study these technologies. And I knew that if I did that, I would be able to meet and interact with and learn from the smartest people about these areas. So that's actually what I did. I partnered with Ray, and we founded something called Singularity University. It's in the middle of Mountain View. It's right next to Google. It's right on the NASA Ames campus. It's partnered with Autodesk and Google and Cisco and Nokia and Genentech, amazing companies. And this is the means, folks, that I'm using to stay on top of all of these extraordinarily powerful technologies that if I missed would mean the difference between success and failure. And they're really the technologies that through these videos and through all the work that we've been doing at SU and our knowledge products and so forth, we want to be able to pass on to you. So Singularity University for me is the means to really stay on the cutting edge. What's the technology in the lab today that's coming to market in 2 years that can put me out of business or allow me to leapfrog the competition? That's the kind of leverage. Literally the ability to touch the lives of 1 billion people. It's big thinking, but that's the world we're living in. When you have dreams and big dreams, this is the stuff that allows you to make those big dreams come true. So let's dive into what it takes to win. What it takes to win, first and foremost, is you understanding what the most powerful technologies are that are coming online, being aware they're coming online, and then starting to think about how you can implement these to make your dreams come true, to improve your business, to improve your lives. And ultimately, there's probably no technology more powerful that's coming online right now than the whole field of artificial intelligence. Now, what is AI? AI is Google. Google, the ability for it to interact with you, to complete the search terms as you're typing them in. AI is Siri on your iPhone 5. And it's really ultimately the ability for a computer to interact with you as a human in a natural way, through natural language, understand what you're meaning, give you useful answers. And ultimately, when AI is perfected, which it's not yet, the computer will be so good that you will not be able to distinguish it from interacting with a human, except that the computer literally can scale infinitely while your workforce cannot. Now, I want to give you one example of where AI is going to be going in the next 5 years. Imagine, if you would, artificial intelligence that you give permission to listen to every conversation you have on the phone. That you give permission to read every email that you type. You give permission to literally listen to all your conversations, go through your medical records, and that AI, that artificial intelligence, becomes your buddy, your partner in interacting with the world. Now, this is something that's not going to happen 20 years from now. It's going to happen in the next 5 years. And when that occurs, that AI is going to be able to literally answer your questions before you even know you have them. It's going to be so useful to you. And I just want you to know that this stuff is coming down the line, because as you start thinking about this, know that all of these technologies are technologies you need to anticipate. So when Apple, for example, purchased Siri, they knew that Siri wasn't perfect, but they could project, because of the exponential trends, where it was going to be in 2 years, 4 years, and 5 years. So the important thing here is for you to realize it is coming. It's coming in a very powerful fashion. And how are you going to utilize it? Or how are you going to be ready to make sure it doesn't put you out of business? Artificial intelligence is going to transform the entire healthcare industry. If you're in the healthcare business, you need to know this is coming down the pike. AI is going to be the main means. It's going to be your patients, if you're a doctor, talking to the artificial intelligence before they ever speak to you. If you're in the education business, AI is going to transform education. We're going to see AI teachers really becoming the means by which students learn a lot of the basics. They'll go to school to be socialized. If you have a large number of employees that are answering the phones and phone banks, eventually those employees will be replaced by AIs who do it, perfectly, cheaply, 24/7, without any errors. So understanding where this technology is and how it can be used by you to reduce your costs, or how it might be used by your competition to provide a product that's more intelligent and more capable than your product, is very important. You see, people love to use products that are simple and smart. And AI is going to make every product simple and smart. So understanding how you can use it to improve your product is really important. Because if someone does it before you, they'll have the advantage. All right, robotics. So where is robotics now? We know it from the science fiction world, but the fact of the matter is robots are coming online in an extraordinarily powerful fashion. We're going to see robots coming online in our homes. This is more than just the Roomba cleaning your carpet. I'm talking about robots that literally are enabling you to have someone clean your home, your entire home at night. Or if you're have parents in an old age home, these robots are going to be providing medical care for them. Robots are a lot more than that. Robots are Google's autonomous car. Now, you've heard about Google's autonomous car. It's driven 300,000 miles. It's now legal for autonomous cars to drive in California, Nevada, and Florida. These AI cars are going to transform the entire transportation business. Also going to transform your life and how you get around. We're going to see robots in the form of telepresence robots, where I'm going to ship a robot to a conference, and I'm going to plug into that robot, and that robot will become my eyes and ears, my ability to move around. Robotics is going to transform every part of our lives and our business. So a closing note on here, as crazy as it sounds, which of your employees in your employment base do you replace with robots? I mean, literally, I know that's a difficult question to ask, but employees who are stocking the shelves, who are doing repeat menial labor, whether at the Walmart or at the local store, once your competition starts using robots that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they don't come in sick, they don't have drug testing, they don't party too late at night, you can't compete with that. So it's something you need to understand. It's coming. The capability is getting cheaper and more powerful and more accurate. Empowered by AI, it's going to transform our workforce. Synthetic biology, one of the most powerful technologies of this decade. I believe that the next multi-$100 billion companies are going to be coming out of the field of synthetic biology. And what is that? Synthetic biology is the realization that today we are able to literally use life as a small manufacturing facility. That you can, synthetic biology is the next programming language. Now we talk about programming computers, with ones and zeros binary language, or if you've ever used BASIC or C++ or any of the programming languages. Biology is also a programming language, except it's got 4 letters in that alphabet, A, T, C, and G. And we're now beginning, folks like Craig Venter at Synthetic Genomics, beginning to program life to do specific bidding. So, for example, Craig has reprogrammed algae to be 300% more efficient of converting sunlight to useful proteins and carbohydrates. So imagine life, plant life, that's 300% more efficient in creating foods. It's going to be transformational. But as well, how about programming life to create the exact octane molecule you need for fuel? I want these algae to create this kind of diesel fuel. or these kinds of proteins for my foods. If you're in any kind of a business that uses chemical supplies or uses any kind of particular molecules, imagine life being able to be the mechanism that you generate and create exactly what you need. And one other note, if I was investing, I'd be investing in synthetic biology. It's one of the areas that's going to blossom as the next multi-hundred-billion-dollar industries come into existence. Digital medicine. We talked a little bit about AI transforming medicine. In this next 10 years, digital medicine is going to transform how we live our lives. We're all going to become monitored. I drive a Tesla, and my car's got a whole slew of microprocessors. I fly a Cirrus airplane, and on board that is got, probably 80 or so microprocessors that are constantly monitoring every part of the car, every part of the airplane, and telling me exactly when anything goes wrong in advance. Now, that's the world we're living in, but as a human, I don't know about you, but other than, wearing my little Fitbit I have over here that, measures how many steps I take, I'm not being monitored very well. That's all going to change. So ultimately, if you're in the insurance business, if you're in the healthcare provision business, if you simply employ a large number of people, digital medicine is going to transform your business. If you understand how your customers are doing, if you understand how your employees are doing, you will change how you interact with them. If you're in the insurance business, what kind of premiums you provide them. If you're in the healthcare business, how you start providing, health care instead of sick care. So this is an area that's going to transform our multi-trillion-dollar healthcare industry today. And finally, the other subject I'll mention that I'm passionate about is the whole arena of digital manufacturing or 3D printing. For the longest time, the industrial age was about how do you mass produce one thing 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times in a factory and then ship it all over the world. The field of 3D printing is transforming that. It's changing it to how do I print something that I need right here at home and use it. So I want you to use, here's the analogy. Regular printers that print little bits of carbon onto a piece of paper. I remember when I was at MIT and the image writer first came out from Apple, it would cost me $1 a page to print a page. And if I made a small error, it's like, oh my God, is that error too much, or should I just, not pay another $1 and reprint it? But today, all of us have, 2 or 3 printers at home or at the office, and the idea of a printer is a throwaway. I mean, for God's sakes, they cost $100 now instead of thousands of dollars. Well, the future of printing is not two-dimensional printing of black carbon on a white piece of paper. It is the idea that we're actually going to be able to 3-dimensionally print any object. So imagine being able to 3D print in rubber, in plastic, in glass, in metal, in any materials. And if you have an object that you need, being able to hit print and have a device that prints layer on top of layer and actually manufactures from the ground up what you need. So, for example, I was with a group of executives from Lego. We're talking about their business of manufacturing Lego bricks in Europe and then shipping them around the world. That's going to change. Kids instead are going to have a Lego brick printer in their closet, and when they want a Lego game, they'll hit print and the bricks will be printed and then they'll assemble them at home. So 3D manufacturing, 3D printing is about transforming the entire manufacturing base of the world. So if you're in the manufacturing business, if you're in the shipping and distribution business, you need to understand what's coming down the line. I was with a group of executives from VF Corporation. They make a whole range of different clothes. They're one of the largest clothing manufacturers on the planet. They own a wide range of brands. And we're talking about the notion of, in the future, there'll be 3D printers for clothing. As a woman, you'll go online and you'll see a beautiful dress that was designed in Bangladesh that morning. And you'll hit print in your closet to wear it at a gala that night. It's transforming the speed of business in an amazing way. I don't know if you remember in the old days where you'd get on the phone, you'd order something from a catalog and you'd wait a week for it to arrive. Today we go on Amazon and we order something and we get it the next day. The future here this decade is going to be going online, seeing what you want, hitting print, and having it arrive in your home right there. So if you're a manufacturer, think about how this is going to transform your business. If you're in the distribution business, think about how this might take away from your business. So 3D manufacturing is going to transform things in a whole host of ways. So much more we could talk about on this. So these are just some of the exponential technologies, the powerful technologies that are enabling entrepreneurs to literally do what only governments and large corporations could do before. And you need to understand these. This is part of what it's going to take to win in this next decade. The second subject I want to speak to you about of what it takes to win is, for me, what I'm really passionate about right now. It's what I call exponential organizational tools. What does that mean? It simply means that there are now a set of tools for you as an entrepreneur, for you as an employer, to be able to do what you want to do a lot more efficient, a lot more cheaply, and by collaboration with smart people around the world. So we talked about incentive competitions. We talked about, for me, creating a $10 million prize to literally get people around the world to build a private spaceship for me. And I knew that someone could build a private spaceship because of those exponential technologies I talked about. You know, Bert Rutan used new materials, new AI techniques, new printing capabilities to build Spaceship One. So incentive competitions, we've talked about. Machine learning data competitions. This is where I spoke about Rob McEwen, who put up a prize asking people to look at the data in his gold mine and show him where to find the next 6 million ounces of gold, which was ultimately worth $3 billion to him. So what is the data that you have as an individual? It might be data from your website, data from your company, data from your customers, whatever it might be. And how can you extract value out of that data to help you run your business more efficiently? There are platforms like Kaggle, Kaggle.com, that will help you literally mine your data. And if you're not mining your data, you are missing out on so much. Gamification, the whole field of gamification. How you make it fun for the world to solve your problem is an art form, but it is so very possible. You can literally get people to help you collect data, help you analyze data, to help you solve problems. So this is about human psychology. It's about gamifying your problems. It's about getting millions of people around the world to have fun by spending just a few minutes to help you solve your problem. Crowd ideation and crowd creation. The whole notion that, the old way of designing products is I'd go to my internal folks, I'd say, hey guys, what do you think we should produce next? Well, that's going to give you a very limited answer. It's only what they think we should have. But ultimately, you now have the ability to go out and ask the world, to go out and ask all your customers, ask the public, ask populations of what they think you should be creating next, and then get their involvement. So one of the organizations, for example, is a group called Quirky. A friend of mine, Ben Kaufman, started Quirky, and he actually uses the crowd to come up with ideas, and then uses the crowd to help refine those ideas, and actually to finally put those ideas into production. And they have an extraordinary rate of success. So if you're in any kind of a business, you have to ask yourself the question of, do the employees you have inside the company really the best people to tell you what to build next? Or is it your customers? And how can you tap into your customers to help you design your next set of products? On-demand workforce is another major exponential organizational tool. Now, I happen to counsel CEOs for large companies that have 100,000, 150, 200,000 employees. And one of the things I hear from them is fear. It's fear that their large organization is like a dinosaur from 60 million years ago. If you have to remember, back in the old, prehistoric era, dinosaurs were these giant beasts. And their advantage back then was being big and being able to just push their way through and eat from the top of the trees. And then what happened? Well, an asteroid hit the Earth 60 million years ago and was so disruptive that those big lumbering beasts, they weren't able to evolve. And who won? It was those furry little mammals that were scurrying around. They were able to literally be far more nimble and able to react much quicker. Well, in today's day and age, the equivalent of that asteroid hitting is exponential technologies. Exponential technologies are changing everything so fast that the big lumbering companies can't change fast enough. The example we talked about was Kodak and Instagram, right? Kodak was this 100-year-old, huge 40,000 person, $28 billion, 140,000 person, $28 billion company that when digital photography came along, in fact, when they invented it and ignored it, they could not change fast enough to take advantage of that. And all these other small companies came along. So on-demand workforce is a mechanism by which you can employ experts around the world on an as-you-need-them basis. So you don't have to actually employ a large number of people. You can buy them for the day, for the week, for the year. And you can actually pick them anywhere on the planet so that you might have a really intelligent person in India and Bangladesh that you can use for a tenth the cost of someone here. So this is going to transform the way companies employ and get their ideas in the future in a phenomenally significant way. Finally, we talked about crowdfunding. The notion that my friend Eric Mijigovsky, the founder of Pebble Watch, was out of money. He had 2 months of money left, and he needed just $200,000, and he put his project up on Kickstarter and literally got his $200,000 in the first hour and ultimately $10 million over a 30-day campaign. So whether you're posting your campaign on Rocket Hub or Indiegogo or Kickstarter or any of the 500 different sites, there are people out there that want to fund your ideas if you're passionate enough about them. So crowdfunding is going to change your access to capital, which is ultimately the first step in making your dreams come true. So next, let me address some of the most common questions I've been getting in your post down below to really help you understand my framework and how I think about these things. So these were sort of Peter's most frequently asked questions. How do you keep going when people think your ideas are crazy and abandon you? And I had this personal experience when I first announced the Ansari X Prize back under the arch in St. Louis in May of 1996 and decided to announce the prize without having the money. I had 2 of my trustees resign on the spot. And ultimately, how I keep going is by knowing in my heart of hearts that this thing that I'm doing is my greatest passion. And if I know that it's my greatest passion and it's something that I'm meant to do, then I'm ultimately going to push against all of the resistance I'm going to get. Because remember, if something is new and bold and different, people are going to resist it. And ultimately, you have to be fueled by your inner passion. So next question, how do you find your inner passion? So I've got 2 ideas to suggest to you. For me, it came from my childhood desires of wanting to be an astronaut. So my question to you is, what did you want to do as a child? Because you can make a career out of anything these days. My good friend Richard Garriott, whose dad was an astronaut, literally barely graduated high school because he loved playing video games. And he became such a great video game player that he ultimately became a video game writer. He became Lord British. He wrote Ultima and Ultima 1 through 9 and earned enough money to buy a private ticket to fly the International Space Station and become the first second-generation astronaut, even though he didn't follow his dad's, college and graduate level degrees. So what is your passion? So number 1, what did you want to do as a kid? Number 2, if I gave you $1 billion, what would you do with that $1 billion? What kind of change would you want to do in the world? When I ask myself that question, that's what starts lighting up my passions. So what do you want to do as a kid? And if you had all the money in the world and you wanted to do something impactful, what would you do? Those 2 things might give you an insight into what your passion really is. Where do you get your money to start your ventures? Well, ultimately, and we can talk on this for an entire audio video series, the first money comes from the people who know you and love you and care about you. When you just have an idea, and especially if it's a bold idea, people are going to invest in you. And so if you know your passion and you can convey your passion and people get it, they can feel it in your heart of hearts, they're going to want to support you. because ultimately they're first and foremost supporting your passion. You know, way I think about it is over time, if you look at it, if this is time on the bottom, and this is the amount of money that your company is going to make, what you want to do is to design something that can make a lot of money in the final result, but in the beginning has a really concrete business plan. So you want something you can make money on in the beginning that attracts people's minds. Like a person can connect with you and understand what you're doing as your very first product. And then ultimately you want to connect with their hearts about the big vision of where you're going to go. And so, you know, you want to create a business plan that can start with something concrete, people can connect with and give you money to support this, and connect with your heart to really be inspired by what you're saying. Next, Peter, I'm overwhelmed. What's the first step? Well, I mean, the first step ultimately is educating yourself. It's understanding these technologies. It's really becoming, fluent in the language of what is artificial intelligence, what is synthetic biology, what are nanomaterials, where are these technologies today and where they're going. Because if you don't understand at least the language to read up on these articles, then you're lost. So educating yourself is the number one, number two, number three step. The last question here is, with all these opportunities, how do you choose? And believe me, the flow of opportunities I have now is extraordinary, as it will be with you. The world is picking up speed in how fast technology is moving. And ultimately, for me, it comes down to two things. One, what am I passionate about? Because I will never do anything that I'm not passionate about. Because everything you do in life is hard, and I'll give up before it's finished if I'm not passionate about that subject. And the second thing is who I do it with. You know, the community I work with, my business partners, my friends, my colleagues is everything. Because ultimately, you're spending so much time with them. A lot of times more than you're spending with your family, so you better enjoy their company. So I will do the things that I'm passionate about with the people I care about. So there you have it from this video number 3. Let me, if you would, ask you the question about what's your next step? You know, I've given you some of the basic ideas here, and I want to encourage you, please, read as much as you can. You know, go read The Singularity is Near, Abundance, all of these books. Go and go to the websites like kurzweilai.net, singularity.u.org. Go and learn as much as you can about these. And, ultimately, if you want, you can go to the SU Executive Program. It runs 7 days. It's a $12,000 program. Frankly, it's cheap compared to what the $50,000 programs that Harvard, MIT put on, and frankly, the other programs don't even provide anything like SU does as an integrated overview of these exponential tools and exponential technologies. It doesn't matter if you go to SU or MIT or Harvard. It's really about you continuing to learn this material, to understand how it's going to impact your life, how it's going to allow you to be fearless and really abundant and make your dreams come true. Because these are the most powerful technologies of our age. This is really the stuff that's going to define the winners and the losers over the next decade, over the next 20 years, during the span of your career and your lifetimes. These are the fundamentals right now. This is the basic arithmetic of our 21st century. So how you learn this is up to you. Just commit to yourself that you're going to be focusing on how to bring this into your life. Now, for those of you who want, I'm very proud that Ray Kurzweil and I just completed the production of a knowledge product. We, for 48 hours, 2 days straight, brought in 50 executives who paid $5,000 to be there, and we distilled out of all of our work really the basic understandings of how to drive breakthroughs, the future of biotechnology, all of these exponential organizational tools, these exponential technologies, and created a 9-part video knowledge product that we're going to be making available to you. So if you're interested, in the coming days, we'll be opening this up for registration, and you'll be able to sign up to participate in that if you desire. But more on that later. In the meantime, please Give me your comments on this page. I hope that this video training number 3 was useful to give you an overview of what it's going to take to win in this next decade of exponentially growing technologies. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon.